Hi, everybody. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, Texas, Saturday evening here in North Texas, and welcome to our commentary. I want to begin by just reacting to what's happening in LA and Los Angeles, where things are totally out of control. You have a mobs in the streets preventing ICE agents from doing their job. I think it's under control better tonight than it was last night or whatever. But this is completely unacceptable. And when is the governor of California going to call in the National Guard if necessary and put an end to this? I mean, this is insane. To have people throwing at the police cars, throwing stones. I saw a video of somebody doing that. You got to crack down on this. And if you have to arrest the mayor of LA because she apparently doesn't want to cooperate with federal authorities, these Democrats are interesting. I remember once upon a time, when Arizona wanted to have its own immigration law, and you had all these Democrats going on television saying that a state could not have an immigration law because that's a federal issue, that federal law, supersedes state law. That's exactly correct, by the way. That is correct. So, the Department of Justice is going to have to arrest a mayor or a city council member or somebody in one of those cities and remind that person that these are immigration laws and that ICE has the authority to go in and pick up people. And I don't know how else to say it, but this is insane what we are watching on television. And I assume that the Trump administration is watching it. The Department of Justice is watching it. But the governor of California should be embarrassed by what's happening in the city of LA. He should be embarrassed. He should resign and say, I guess I've lost control of my state because, I'm permitting these kinds of violent demonstrations against, these are federal authorities, okay? These are federal officers, ICE and so on, who are conducting these raids. They have every right to do it. I mean, that's just the bottom line. So the governor of California, I think, is once again demonstrating why he's such a bad governor. He's basically letting riots and letting mobs attack authorities right there in the streets. The videos are pretty crazy. So I hope it comes under control. And if necessary, you're going to have to send in, maybe have the federal government federalize the National Guard in California and send them in. Just send them in, if that's what it takes. It does look like it's coming under control the last time I checked, and that's because they have some pretty elite troops out there, or forces out there, that know how to handle this situation. A lot of people have been arrested, and I hope they get the book thrown at them instead of, being let go, which is so common in California. But maybe if they get arrested in a federal court, they're going to have a much harder time getting away. But it is absolutely disgraceful to watch what we're watching in LA, or what we've been watching in LA for the last day or so. Well, I've got a post over at the American Thinker today, once again calling on President Trump and Elon Musk to get their act together and come together, as that song by the Beatles used to say, come together. I think it's in the interest of both. But I've noticed one thing. That Elon Musk has gone back a little bit. It seems like he's hit the brakes a little bit. He's not talking as much as he was whenever he was. He seems to be saying a lot less. And my guess is somebody got to him and said, Elon, be careful what you ask for or what you wish for, because you may get it. And when Elon mentioned, that he had information, or that there was a connection between President Trump or Donald Trump and that fellow Epstein in that case, when he said that, I remember saying, I think on a prior video, Elon, be careful, because if you make an accusation like that, you got to be ready with the proof. Well, apparently I'm pretty sure that somebody has gotten to him, because he deleted that tweet of him saying that, or somebody saying that on his behalf. So look, these two guys have to make up. The country needs it, honestly. The country needs it. And the country needs for them to work together. And I'm sure they will. I'm sure that we're just going through a little bit of back and forth right now. But I have a feeling that they're going to get their act together and have a, if not a formal reconciliation, as I write in my post, they don't have to kiss and make up. I'm not expecting a big kiss and make up, but they can at least make up and stop talking. That would be enough enough for me to say the least. Well, the other big story, and I've got a post about this coming out tomorrow, is that this fellow, the Maryland man, Kelmar Abrego Garcia, I think that's his full name, is back in Maryland, or back in the United States. He's actually in Tennessee. He's going to be he's been indicted in a Tennessee federal court, or in a federal court in Tennessee, however you say it. And the charges, or at least what I've seen in the media against them, are pretty tough. And you have to wonder who was giving this person advice. Who in the world thought that it would be a good idea to bring him back to the United States? I mean, in fact, I was watching Professor Dershowitz yesterday on a program saying that this is pretty stupid. Whoever gave him this advice, whatever lawyer gave him this advice, is pretty bad advice. Because if he's found guilty of this indictment, of what's in the indictment, and it looks like a pretty strong one, he's going to spend a lot of time in a federal prison. And eventually he's going to be deported to El Salvador when he's finished up here. He would have been a heck of a lot better staying down there, I think. But once again, now Professor Dershowitz was making a really interesting point when he was talking about this. Professor Dershowitz was saying that his lawyers became very ideological. In other words, they were not really lawyers who were interested in their client. They were more interested in Trump derangement syndrome. And they wanted to just take a position against Trump. And in the process, I think they've done this fellow a great disservice, because he would have been better off, much better off, staying in El Salvador than up here, because it's not going to go well for him up here, right? If you look at that indictment and the evidence that they have, I'm pretty sure they're going to find him guilty and put him away for quite some time. So he got some very bad advice from some lawyers who seem to be more interested in just going against Trump. They just wanted to be the big heroes and go against Trump. They wanted to be part of the resistance, if you will, and go against Trump. And what they've actually done is that they have actually made this fellow's case a lot weaker. And again, he would have been better off had he stayed in down there in El Salvador. Much better off had he stayed down there. Well, I have to say happy number 85 here as we wrap up. I have to say happy number 85 to a fellow named Tom Jones. Now, if you're, of my generation, you remember that he was a pretty good singer. He had that song called "It's Not Unusual." Another song that he had was "What's New, Pussycat." I mean, the guy was really popular with the ladies. I'll put it that way. In fact, he had a TV show, the Tom Jones Show. It was on Thursday nights, I remember. And the reason I remember that it was on Thursday nights was because all the women in our neighborhood, all the mothers, all the ladies in our neighborhood watched it. I mean, it was really popular with our mothers and grandmothers. And, Tom Jones was, I guess, the kind of guy that a lot of women would like. And he was also a very good performer. He was a great singer, great performer. And he had hits for a long time. What's New, Pussycat? I think the other one he had was The Green, Green Grass of Home. I remember that one as well. Delilah, that was the other one that he had. Had some big hits, Tom Jones. And he's 85 years old. I guess he's still going strong. And it's amazing to me because this is a guy who sort of came out of nowhere, as far as I've been able to see in his biography. Kind of came out of nowhere and hit the charts. And once he hit the radio charts or the radio stations and started recording music and releasing songs, he became an instant success. I mean, the guy was, again, as popular. There were two of them back then, as I remember. There were two of them. There was Engelbert Humperdinck and Tom Jones. And Engelbert Humperdinck, they had a show the same night. It was on ABC TV on Thursday nights. I don't know which one came first, but Engelbert Humperdinck, who was extremely popular too with the ladies. And then also Tom Jones. I mean, ABC had the corner that night they must have had the tremendous market share with women that night, because these two guys were hugely popular. They were totally different, of course. You know, Engelbert Humperdinck was more romantic, more mellow, more soft, whereas, Tom Jones was energy and drive and had a fantastic voice. I mean, my gosh, what a great voice that he had. So we say happy number 85 tonight to Tom Jones. We hope he's doing well. I'm assuming he's in England or in London. He's originally from Wales. Maybe he's there. I'm assuming he's doing very well. I hope he is. And man, I remember his songs. Tom Jones, happy number 85. Thank you for listening. I hope you're having a good evening here in Texas, and we'll talk to you later. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas.